Okay, so we have Photoshop open, and we have a ellipse tool, or a ellipse circle. Your image here is a shape, and down here we have our rectangle that we created by creating new layers, which you can see over here. And we are going to do some things to these layers now. We covered this in our second class. I'm going to right-click on this layer, the rectangle layer initially, and at the very top here you can see blending options. We're going to want to click on that, and that will bring up this dialog box here. Instead, I want to go and take a longer route because you can do nearly anything you need to in Photoshop via your applications bar at the top. So I'm going to click on Layer and go down to Layer Style, click on Blending Options. That's another way of getting here. Ooh, poof, there's our dialog box again. We can also go down here and click on our effects on the bottom, the FX image down here, and it will bring us up our blending options again. So we're going to take our mouse and hover over this gray bar here. Get used to this, it's very handy. We can then move this dialog box around. We can do the same with the rest, but we're doing this here now. Let's look at what we can do with our bevel. If we click on this, if we click on just the box, it brings up a default, but on these, our basic defaults, you can change all, you can pick them all if you like, but we're artists here, so we're going to manipulate these options. So let's make sure we have the bevel selected, and click on the word bevel in the boss, and it brings up the dialog box here. So we can keep an inner bevel, or inner bevel, we could change it to an emboss. You can mess around with these and see the difference if you choose. We could do an outer bevel. We're going to stick with the default of an inner bevel. I'm going to change the size of our bevel a little and soften it a little bit, just so we can have a decent effect. We can change the contour of our bevel if we choose. We're not going to do that though. We'll leave it the way it is. And we can change our opacity, we can change all kinds of things. We can change our highlighting mode to many of these options. We'll cover those later. We can change our shadows to a different color if we choose. We could go with like a red maybe. Say okay. Not really as effective as you might think. We'll just go back to black. Let's say okay. And then we have a pretty little bevel around our rectangle. As you can see, I am able to do this because I have the rectangle selected. If I want to go and move around the circle, I am in a mess right now because I can only move the rectangle. Well, that's because we have the rectangle layer selected. Each individual layer is independent and editable individually. So I've now clicked on the circle layer. It's not really a circle, it's more of an oval, but so now I'm going to right click. I find this the easiest way. I'm going to open my dialog box here again. In CS5 you should be able to click on the icon and open this as well. Let's click on we're not going to do a bevel. No, let's not do that. Let's do an inner glow. I feel like an inner glow would be very nice. Let's move this over so we can see our preview of what it's doing to our circle. Initially, I'm not a huge fan of this yellow. I'm going to switch that color to white. Actually, yeah, we'll stick with white. We can change our blend mode. As you can see, there are a few different options than there were with our emboss, because it's a different blending option. I'm going to change the size of it because I think that's beautiful. We can change, of course, back to the center. We can change our contours again. I'm going to stick with the original outer edge because I want to then give our circle layer a stroke. You will find probably these options in a different order. Stroke is normally at the bottom. They've moved it around probably because it's so regularly used, or it's most commonly used. So look at our stroke. By default, now that I've clicked on the name stroke and I've opened up my options here, you can see that my stroke size is 3 pixels. I can make it bigger, I can make it smaller. I want to go with a really crisp effect, and I'm just going to choose 1 pixel to outline my oval shape, if you call it. It's the layer, circle layer. I may also consider giving my image a pattern. Let's see what we can do with this. There's so many things we can do. Let's do something interesting. Let's give it this. Let's give this interesting pattern right here. I'm going to click to get out of it. Click on somewhere on the screen. I'm going to change the scale of these. Make them really, really tiny. Ooh. I might even want to change the opacity of this so that we can go back to our blue that's in the background. I can again change my blending mode. I can go to multiply, and you'll notice that these lighten and darken and cause a grain effect. We have a lot of options in here, and we will go over these very thoroughly at a later date. So I'm not going to do that now. Let's go back to let's go to normal. And this is what we have with our circle layer. I now want to go and save this because this is our next step. Let's go and click Save initially. It's going to bring up the title that I gave my image. And we have, we're going to save it in Where, Pics for Class. Sure, why not? And click Save, Photoshop document. This, saving it in PSD format that we just did, is a Photoshop document format, and it allows us to save these layers. I'm going to do something interesting before I save it again, and I'm going to click Save for Web and see what happens. So along the top here, we have a bunch of images and a bunch of tabs that we can open to see our different image sizes, which is really interesting. So to our top left corner, you can see that our original document is 2.06 megs, which is huge for just a couple of shapes. We can, over here on the right, we can click on choice of format we choose to save it. Let's see what this, so now this box, because I had this box selected, has turned to what it would be to have a high resolution, high quality JPEG image. That would be 27 kilobytes, which is teeny tiny considering. However, yeah, well, we'll save it at set. Actually, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to click Cancel down here at the bottom. We'll go more into our saving later. I want you to just get into the habit of going to Save As. I would like you to click on where it says Format. Initially, it was saved as a PSD or a Photoshop document. I'm going to go down and click it as a JPEG. Click on JPEG, because it keeps it small and we can reduce our resolution if we choose. I'm going to go down and click on Save, and I'm going to save it as, oh, see here, we can change our, it should give us, as you can see over here, the size of our image based on the quality that we choose to use. So let's click on 8. It's pretty much standard, so we have 60 kilobytes. We don't really need a big file like that, but just for experimental purposes, we have now saved our image. Now I'm going to go and click Photoshop, and it will do so quite easily. That's it. That's all for this lesson.